Hey, welcome to Stunner Stage. I'm Stunner. This is my stage. Tonight I get to talk to a couple of people I looked up to when I was a teenager. They showed me that playing in a band didn't have to be so serious. You could have fun. You could poke fun at your friends. You could enjoy just having a laugh. But also, you could play real good music. Tonight, I get to hang out with Gary, Charley, and Frank Kohler. Many different bands, but the one that I remember the most was the Wetspots. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff. So, generally, I let them talk to each other and interview each other. Tonight, they wanted me to be involved as well. So, yeah, this could be fun. I hope you enjoy it. Without further ado, Mr. Frank Kohler and Mr. Gary Charley on Stunner Stage.
This is Stunner over here. He's a rock star.
You guys are on this one,
Okay.
and I'm on that one.
Can I chew gum?
Absolutely, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Within reason, I've seen some Wet Spot shows, so not whatever the hell you want to do.
We can't. We yeah.
So
I can't bend like that anymore.
Things got way too politically correct for us to do anything.
They fired us from everything.
So I just want to say thank you for coming out. I'll have little monikers underneath you that'll say who you are, but obviously Frank Kohler and Gary Charley, and it's an honor to have you here.
It's an honor to still be alive.
Oh my gosh. My biggest thing is I mentioned a few months ago, I was listening to some Regime and I was thinking about some of the old days and why and where we all are now, because there's still bands playing. There's still
I'm
things.
playing.
You're playing. You're out there. I see you. I see your posts all the time. But there's still so many other bands that just kind of went away and nobody talks about them. Yeah. And I wanted to talk about them. So I started this lovely podcast and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. And you guys are amazing to want to come and talk. So generally, I usually let you guys talk to each other, but you said you wanted to be invested. So
I'm an investor. It's a three-way, baby.
So I will start. Gary, tell me something about when music first spoke to you. How did that happen? How old were you, and what was your first introduction into music?
I think I was 14 years old. Got a real sweet Teisco from the Sears catalog for Christmas.
Yeah.
My friend Sean got a drum set for Christmas also, and it was the kind where you hit the cymbal too hard, it dented the cymbal. But we started playing. It was bad.
Well, you're 14.
And I remember seeing another podcast with you. You said, I was a guitar player till this other guitar player came in. That's exactly that. This guitar player came in, heard we had a little thing going, and he looked at me and said, "You're not very good, and you should play these top two strings here." So I went down to B sharp course after that and bought a bass guitar. So
right.
That's where I kind of started, and we just played. We just had fun, and we were learning Pushing Too Hard and Louie and.
So when you were listening to music, even before 14, where was that at in your house? Did you find it? Did you have uncles that were listening to music? Was it rock and roll? Was it, jazz? What was it that was music?
It was rock and roll. First the Beatles. That was my first, and I just loved the Beatles. Still do. Was it the Ed Sullivan thing? Yeah. It just getting the 45s every time a new 45 would come out, and.
Honestly, that was my first CD, was the Beatles' Revolver.
Oh, yeah?
My mom was huge into Beatles. She was huge into Moody Blues. It was Sundays, and we would clean the house to the Beatles, Moody Blues, Carly Simon, stuff like that.
You had a CD, see? We
Well, that's when I was
Simon,
older.
yeah.
I was older, but
Tapestry.
when that stuff came in, I was like, I'll take that.
Oh, not
please.
Scarrow Cake.
yeah.
Frank, how about you? Music. When did it start for you?
Actually, I had a weird family, and I met Charlie Adams, Chameleon Charlie Adams, and we were at the country club, when we were kids, and we met, and he's like, I got this Sears drum set I got, so I went over to his house to see his drum set, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, and we were probably 12,
So
13.
So the caveman days, right?
Huh?
We're talking about the caveman days.
Yeah, when the dinosaurs ruled
It's
the
been a
earth.
while.
Yeah. And so I went over and saw his drum set and stuff, and then the first songs that I was listening to were my parents when we fell asleep at night. They had one of those big old stereos and stuff, and this was in my real parents' house and stuff. They would always play Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, Dino, and this is what I fell asleep to all the time. And then I remember I moved out of there, and I was living in Wisconsin with a grandma because I was kind of a mischievous kid and mischievous. But I remember The Sound of Music. She had that record, and then I used to sit in the living room and sing. But my grandma was a voice and a piano teacher in Merrill, Wisconsin, and stuff. But I never learned how to play the piano, but she would make me sing, and that's kind of how it all got going. And then Charlie and I went and bought a Montgomery Ward's PA. I bought the PA so I could be the boss, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. Charlie had the drum set. So then we went out and we went and tried to find other people to play in a band with us.
So you at 14, you at 12.
Yeah.
And rock and roll the whole way. Now you came in with the...
I was in choir and that stuff in Catholic school too.
Okay.
I went to all private Catholic schools.
Oh,
that's
that's
why
where
it
the
turned out so
mischievous.
rotten. Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. So what was your first concert? The first concert you went to, how old were you and what was it?
I probably was still 14 or maybe 15. It was the Guess Who in Poco.
Oh, wow.
And
Now, was Timothy B. Schmidt in Poco at that time? Or had he moved over to
I
the
wish
East?
I remembered more. I think I just started smoking pot back then too. So,
I think that was the way it
but
was.
to me,
for
I'd
us.
seen Burton Cummings too. He was one of the amazing singers.
And Randy Bachman was
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Actually, my first concerts were Buddy Rich with Charlie, because Charlie was a killer drummer and getting lessons and stuff like that. So we went and saw Buddy Rich, Stan Kenton, all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of blues people and stuff around the Joliet, South Chicago area, of course. And my dad he couldn't play anything, and I call her the evil one. The stepmother was a very good pianist and stuff, but I could never play piano because I'd get the swat with the ruler and all that.
You said pianist.
Huh?
You said pianist.
Pianist? I know. Anyway, so that was kind of what I first saw. But I remember my first concert was I worked for a cerebral palsy camp in the summers and took care of kids, and I kind of had facial hair when I was like 4. But I mean, I was probably 14 and they thought I was 16, 17. So we went and saw Peter, Paul, and Mary, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then we saw Sly and the Family Stone and with these people, so we'd get way in there with the wheelchairs because they'd put you right in front. And here we are, like sitting like this.
So that's where the platform shoes came from.
That really came from, yeah.
So now, what year was that, do you think? Let's throw an age
That would
out
have
there.
been 68.
68.
68, 60, maybe 67, 68, 69.
And you were 14, 15 there?
I was,
yeah.
in 69 I was 16.
So you
The
came
Summer
out,
of Love.
I was just going to say, man, you were right in there with the
I
stories
saw
could
Woodstock.
go.
I saw Woodstock and I was 16 years old, and it had been the year before.
You had actually gone to Woodstock?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but we saw the movie.
Oh, gotcha.
And we're like, okay, I know what I'm going to do next weekend.
And I was 13. I remember hearing about Woodstock. Somebody said, "Hey, there's all these bands," and that's, I was 13. I couldn't do anything about it, but
Yeah.
it sounded pretty.
Yeah, you're what, 3 or 4 years younger than I am, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're like 2,500 years younger than I am. Yeah.
Well, when I was 16 and I was working for the regime and I was roadieing, at that time it was the Eternal Teenagers, and we used to come out and I can't remember. It was
Tom Glenn.
Midway on Minnehaha, on the little Minnehaha Parkway there. There's an upstairs and a downstairs.
Oh yeah, the Overtime Lounge.
Overtime Lounge.
Oh,
that was
wow.
the first time
Yeah,
that I
about that.
saw you.
We were there when they
So how do you get into
busted the
Overtime
place.
Lounge at 16?
Well, again, roadieing for the regime.
Oh, yeah.
They don't card you when you're with the band, And I didn't look like I was 16. I was a big dude. I was a big guy. So I still don't know why they let me into Ryan's at 16. I mean, I walked up
because
and
they
I
didn't
said,
card anybody.
not anybody, apparently. I was just like, I'm on the list.
Well, if you're a regime,
No.
they own that place.
They did.
The Lambs Club and Rockies was on the east side, and that's where Rags and Brady and Fairchild and Argus that became Chameleon.
Yeah.
Because I moved up there playing with those guys. But that was like that. And I talked to so many girls that are probably 10 years younger than me. They're like in their 60s now. But they were going in there when they were like 14. And putting on way too much eye makeup and stuff.
The Lambs Club, I remember that. When I was a kid, my mother was a waitress at the Lambs Club.
Oh.
So when I was like 10 years old, so it would have been like 81. Calm
I'm
down.
keeping my mouth shut.
Calm down. Calm down. Could have been. We're not going to go there. But yeah, so I remember the Lambs Club right there. I think it was on Forest and 7th. Right on that corner there.
Yeah.
Funny story with me, the Pub East was kind of like the home.
I still hang
bar.
out. I do a show with John every year.
That's the
Tesla?
home bar.
Yeah.
When I was 8 years old, I performed at the Pub East.
Oh, nice.
On a little stage, the Pub
Pub
East,
East was
7th and Bush? No, not Bush. 7th and Rainy, I think.
by Johnson Parkway.
Right across from Michael's. And there was a accordion player that played Christmas tunes. And my first rock star moment was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer at 8.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm an East Sider through and through. So let's jump up a little bit into so we got your first times playing
By
music
the way,
and first stuff.
This is the picture in front of the Lambs Club.
Rocking Horse and
It was the Who album came out. Who's next? It was we're all pretending like we're peeing on the building.
I didn't even know that there was live music at the Lambs Club. I wasn't allowed to go. I was just 10.
I remember seeing Dare
That was a
Force,
great place.
Was it?
Dare Force and Gino with Zeno.
Zeno from
Yeah.
Straight Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually were born in Chicago area?
Joliet.
Joliet.
Yeah.
Oh, Blues Brothers.
So
town.
Charlie Adams, John Donaldson, Mark Bostancic, all the guys that were in later in Chameleon,
Yeah.
we were all in a high school band together
Yeah.
that played all the
What made you decide to leave Chicago to come to?
the drinking age changed in New York, LA, or California, and Illinois and New York, and all went to 21. All these clubs that we were gonna start playing and be cool and whatever all went to discotheques because it was an older audience. So a friend of ours, Mick Stanhope, who was really famous from around this area way back then, back with the This Oneness guys and all this stuff that you're probably too young to know. But
Oh, I'm learning though. I'm learning.
I know all that stuff. Someday we should just have where I sit and give you the history of every band in the world.
You may be young, but you did cut your teeth on Regime.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
So that gave you a few years.
You did that just about it. But anyway, Mick said, move up here. He said, there's a great music scene going. You can play all the time. And I mean, him and I, not so much in the Wetspots because it was more a distinct thing, but when we were in our cover bands, we would play 300 plus shows a year because you play Monday through Saturday at the Hideaway.
Yeah.
And you play Tuesday through Sunday at Dibos. You would play 5-6 nights a week, and so did you. And all of us, the Fairchild guys, all of us I mean, the singers, we had to have cast iron throats, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember when I was talking to Brian about that, and I knew about it when I came in at 16 with Regime. That's right when it started changing. Regime wasn't doing that anymore. They became this weekend band, and so when I came up and got my band together, we were a weekend band, and that's how it was. But I still remember where it would be the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday here, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday there, and Brian was talking about that too, where it was like 250 shows a year, if not more.
Yeah.
And to me,
Most of our calendar was over 3.
to
for
me,
like
it
30
kind of blew
years.
me away.
Well,
Like,
you guys worked a
For
lot.
30
Yeah.
years, I did 300 shows.
I just think that must have made for the best performances and the best sounding bands, because when you play with the same 3,
Every
4, 5
night.
guys every
Yeah.
night,
Well,
oh my
And
god,
it
how
was
tight.
Mondays, Tuesday, every single night. That's kind of. I mean, we went and seen each other's bands, but we started going out because every night of the week there was somebody playing
somebody
somewhere.
was playing somewhere.
Yeah.
And Nibs and Ryan's and the libation station. I was there many
Now,
times with
where
you.
was the libation station?
That was over Sibley Plaza, kind of on your way to the airport. There was a
I don't
strip
think- I
joint
think
right
that-
by there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
remember that?
The lamplighter.
Not that we ever went in there.
Wait a
No,
minute. How do I know that?
Lamplighter was
The
on
lamplighter. I
Lamplighter.
remember the lamplighter.
Yeah,
that was
Lamplighter
there
was
right,
on
forever.
like not
Lamplighter.
too far away from there.
No, that's over in St. Paul. Lamplighter. It
So there was
on-
one by the
on,
airport on West
on Wright
7th?
Street in Larpenter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
oh,
the lamplighter.
I
I
was
know.
thrown out of there. I'm talking about over by the airport.
Okay, so he's the one that knows the strip joints. I'm sorry.
Only a couple.
So was this out on like West 7th before you
Yes.
reached the airport? So
Yes.
because I remember there was a strip joint there even in like the late 90s or mid 90s.
Yes.
Spankies.
And so
Yeah.
across from there was this place, and it was a bowling alley.
Okay.
And then I can't remember the guy's name who owned it. He was like a great owner. And then he had Music Island after that.
Oh, and I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Throwing some light on you that I'd rather not throw on you.
But
cool.
But yeah, libation and the bouncers at libation station were the road warriors.
Oh,
Before
see,
they
I
were the
remember-
road warriors.
I remember hearing about Libation Station, but it was
Remember that?
definitely before me.
That guy had the MG midget car. And I said, you might as well just carry that thing down the road. Because when he got out of it, it was
Yeah,
just
6'2", 300
Kurt Hennig?
pounds,
Huh?
shoved
Was
into
it
an
Kurt
engine.
Hennig?
No, it was
Do you remember?
Hawk and somebody else. But Kurt Hennig was a different wrestler.
Do you remember he came out? We were playing at the barn in Alexandria. Oh, maybe
That
I'm
was
thinking-
Rock and Roll
that-
Zoom Off.
Maybe that was a Rocking Horse.
Rock
thing.
and Roll Buck Zoom Off.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
my.
remember Kurt Hennig came out. It must have been Rocking Horse. We were playing out, and we had they give you a hotel room when you played this barn.
In the back, yeah.
So we stayed at the hotel, and Kurt came out and watched us play, and then we went to the hotel, and he got in a fight with somebody, and the cops came and raided the whole thing, and it was. Actually, got off subject there, but
No, I love it. I love it. This is the whole thing is I want to hear those stories. So,
We got a few.
yeah.
We have a lot together, but imagine apart.
So
I mean, I was in 17 bands.
So let's go with a little bit of that. What was your first band that was really like your band? Like really started moving you? Was it Rockin' Horse?
it was Rocking Horse. Yeah.
And how did that form?
Seriously, I think it was the back of City Pages or Sweet Potato, answering an ad. They needed a bass player, and I think I got I just ordered a new Rickenbacker. It was a '76 model, and it was bicentennial model, and I got this. And one of the songs they played was "South Side of the Sky" by Yes. So I went into my Rickenbacker, and I really wasn't. I had to work at playing.
I'm just going to go, if you were playing Chris Squire Yes bass lines, you had to work.
Yeah.
Even as
But that was
easy
one of the
as
songs,
bass
but my bass sounded like Yes.
Yeah.
I think that helped me get the job. But
So they were established when you joined?
Yeah, right.
Okay. And it was all covers, and it was instantly, you went from not being in a major band to all of a sudden you're playing 5 nights a week.
Yep, and yeah, they worked with a lot of big ballroom bands.
Were they with Marsh? I think Marsh was like the big
We were with
promoter.
Marsh for a little bit. It was Peak Productions with Bill Pluta,
Okay.
And
Me too.
yeah.
I did march with Argus and Chameleon.
So
that's-
and that was 5-state area, right? They didn't do much outside that, or did you guys get to play any of those big shows like Dare Force with the Venezuela thing?
No,
or
no.
just kind of the 5-state area.
You know what? We did I think the Wetspots. We weren't really a warm up. I mean, we did costume changes, and we needed a dressing room, and we did do April Wine at
Yeah.
Brubaker.
And we did Pat Travers at that
yeah.
Pig Fest where I got
Yeah,
my
we didn't-
tattoo.
we
And
didn't
I
do a
now
lot
have
of-
a hair-lipped lion on my back from this guy who said he was a tattoo guy. And I had him recolor my tattoo.
You know, you can always get that redone and redone and redone. I know. So you can move on from that.
Right.
So 5-state area with Rockin' Horse, and Chameleon wasn't your first, or Argus, was that your first real band?
Cross actually was.
Cross. Okay.
And that was back in Illinois.
And that was in Joliet?
In
Or
Joliet,
around there?
yeah.
So what
And
were
we
they?
played we played Wednesday through, in high school we played Wednesday through Saturday in Rockdale, Illinois, in these pretty crazy bars that, like I was in there once and watched a guy get stabbed in the chest.
Oh my God.
You know, kind of place, because it was a factory town
Yeah.
and stuff. And that's where Mark from Camille, Mark Bostancic, grew up in Rockdale, Illinois.
So questions for you guys on that. Like, you guys are playing covers, rock and roll covers, at really the dawn of like hard rock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, prior to that, I mean, Peter, Paul, and Mary. You know, but there's obviously 70s soft rock too. But
And 60s.
what kind of songs were you playing in Cross? What can you name a couple of songs that were?
We did Seagull Swab Blues Band. We did REO Speedwagon, who was a big hit down in Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, that was our hero band.
Yeah.
Kind of Styx. All these bands played my high school in Joliet West. That's for my high school dance. I would have Rufus play. You know, Chaka Khan and Rufus.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay.
And because they were just like we were later, where they were coming up.
Yeah.
But it was Styx. You know, I mean,
So did
lady, we heard in my gym.
So did you guys came around, and I'm sure you're just a couple of years younger.
Head
but,
East, too.
But my thought on that, too, is like, listen, when I think it was like 17, 18, and we were in Avalanche. We were doing our thrash metal thing. We were following our heroes that were just about 4 or 5 years bigger than us. Anthrax, Metallica, Megadeth. We're like, we're writing music. We're going to do that. You guys are doing covers. Were you thinking about possibly writing? Because these guys are only a couple years ahead of you, and they're playing for, you know, selling millions of records, playing for all that. Or were you happy doing just covers? Was there original writing anywhere?
He did it more than I did.
Rocking Horse had originals. I mean, we started off just when I joined there as covers.
Yeah.
Our singer was a pretty good songwriter, and he started bringing songs, and we started writing songs, and we you know, and I heard Brian talk about Best of the Beat. We were on that.
Oh, the
we went to
homegrown one?
Cookhouse, yeah.
Okay. Did you guys play the Met Center gig that they were talking about?
No.
Okay.
No, but and we did some. We had an album. We had a couple singles out, and you know, when we got together with the Wetspots, so it was more about entertainment. I mean, we didn't really write anything in that band because it was costumes and skits.
It was parodies. It was kind of like a Weird Al Yankovic, but dirty.
Yeah, thank you.
I still remember the matchbook.
Actually, it wasn't as dirty when we first launched it.
Yeah.
The matchbook.
But then Frank
that turned
drank
into
Jack
about
Daniels one
condoms.
night, and it became way dirtier.
Oh, I have a video of us when we first did our skits, and we went and did it at the Withrow Ballroom. We rented it out to practice doing our stuff. And Little Red Riding Hood was a clean version.
Yeah.
That didn't last long. I mean, you know, it got, in fact, nothing did. And that was, I mean, the word bad was like fat. So we put this fat medley together. He had this fat outfit. And,
Yeah. So where was the creative? Let's jump into that. I mean, I think we should go there anyway. So you guys are the heart and soul, in my opinion, of the Wetspots. you of course, the front and center entertainer, banter all day.
He used to think of things for me to do.
Exactly. But I always remember, and I only saw you guys a few times because I was a young kid, but it was always the duo. Everybody else kind of was in the background and did their thing, but
We didn't let anybody
like
talk.
It was you guys.
We didn't let anybody else
Yeah.
talk. I mean,
And you know what else is weird? When you look at the stuff now, and he's looked at a lot of it, but we didn't plan any of this, but we actually had comedic timing.
Yeah.
Like we knew,
Yep.
like I would just stop and then Gary would say something and I was always the evil one.
or we both ways. I mean,
Yeah.
I was your dummy at times, and he'd come out and he was his skit. I was the side guy. I'd come up and whether it was boom boom down go the tights. I mean, he would hit me this way, and all of a sudden, we just acted things out.
But you know what, a lot of it really wasn't planned because in Rocking Horse, he was the front man.
Yeah.
In all my bands, I was the goofy front man, right? And changing the words of song. I mean, we did the band because I did Sleeping on the Wet Spot instead of Hit Me With Your Bet Shot years ago, I mean, and that's where that all came from.
And we were, at one point, he was in the teenagers and I was in rock and we both all of a sudden were out of a band, and we said, let's do something. So we started going out. We went, what was it? ValleyFair, you said, and seeing.
We went and saw the White Side Walls at ValleyFair, and our friend Mark was the bass player, and he got us in, and we went, I don't know if we went on rides. I did it a few times with him. But we were watching them, and I'm sitting next to him, and he's doing like this, hey, ladies and gentlemen, W2 Love Radio, blah, 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 and stuff. And then they do the song after he did the announcing.
Yeah.
And then they did the Monster Mash, and they did some other stuff. And I was sitting there like this, and Gary's sitting with me, and I said, what if we took KQ music and did what?
Yeah.
Made it a show.
And made it a show and did some costume stuff. So there actually is a very funny stuff.
All of a sudden, he's calling me, hey, what about this song? And, instead of.
And I got all the words kind of switched, in my
so
mind
like
already.
Panama turned into enema, and then he had, with that, we had to do a Dr. Frank thing, which. Have you seen the intros of that? It was real easy because
we were both clowns.
Yeah.
Because we were both clowns, and it was wieners and tits, pretty much,
The Wetspots are amazing, man. Like I say, it's how. So that's how it started. That's how it came up with it, and then
we were just after hour drinking buddies. So Rocking Horse would play. I'd be at the Mermaid and he'd be at Loose Ends or whatever. And then Donnie from the Hollywoods would be at Bellray Ballroom and Bruce Nauman would be playing Muldoon's. Well, we would all call each other, all right, where are you going to meet? All right, I'll grab this beer. Yeah. And then we would go to
Murray's house or Mo's house.
We'd all go to somebody's house together, and then each one of our little crowds would follow us there.
Yeah.
We wrecked Bruce's house a bunch of times. And his house, too.
Hey, Bruce wrecked a lot of houses, too.
Well, that's true.
I'm going to have to get Bruce in here.
Yeah, you should.
So, with the Wetspots, how long did you guys do that? I mean, was it just 12 years? Okay, and Chris Vox was in there drumming, I remember.
At one time.
I didn't know he was a singer. I mean, when we hired him, he said, got this drummer, he's a young guy, and he was in Mad At You, but I didn't know anything about him.
I knew he was a singer.
Yeah.
Because he went out with oh my God, she's gonna kill me if I don't remember her name. No, this is before Christy. She was a bass player. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, Leslie?
Leslie Hansen, and I know her dad, Dirk
See, it
Hansen,
takes
was a big
two of us
country
to have
guy.
a memory. That's why we did good together. I used to get
Yeah,
stuck.
it takes two of us to finish the sentence.
That's awesome. So how did he get in the band? So what was the transition?
We already had
to
it
Chris?
going, and him and Tony, Mad At You, broke up, and we needed a keyboardist, not a guitarist. And Chris was a drummer, and I knew they both were lead singers, so I'm like, this is going to be awesome.
But when Chris started playing drums, he had played drums. He wasn't a drum. I mean, I don't think he was a drummer
We started out being a
But
drummer
I
in
sat and
Illinois.
watched him learn. It took him nothing.
Yeah.
In fact, it was real difficult as a bass player. Just some of the time he tried some fills and wouldn't quite land right, but he got good really fast. I mean,
Yeah.
he's talented.
So it took a minute to get tight
Yeah.
there,
Mm-hmm.
but then he locked in.
But yeah, we needed a keyboard player, but Tony said
Tony had
I
a
can play keyboards on my guitar, which
a sitar,
Like the keytars.
yeah,
key,
it's
and
just a
and
synth.
actually, Tony was so amazing
Yeah.
to me. He would have to phrase it on the upbeat to have it play the downbeat on stuff, and he could do all that. Tony was amazing
Yeah.
musician, amazing what he could do with that thing, and then just even playing guitar, he was amazing.
So
and stuff.
what was Tony's previous band's?
Mad at You with
So
Chris.
it was Mad at You with
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
and he did a duet thing for a while. I don't know if you remember,
Tight. Oh no.
but they would both play guitars, and so in our
Insane.
wet spot thing, we would have them.
You're
Are
gonna
you breaking
fall off
stuff
there.
already? I was going
There you
to
go.
warn you.
Yeah.
I was going to warn you. I was going to call you and tell you.
No.
Stop
When
moving
I
the chair.
drink, when I drink.
Okay, so Tony and Chris did a
But they would
duet
come
thing?
out and do a little acoustic, couple songs, acoustic, which was nice because we were
Changing
we had
costumes.
drinks flying and we pulling people up on stage and all this crazy stuff. And all
I
of a
mean, we
sudden-
were court jesters, but we were also hosts, and
Yeah.
we knew everyone. And we still know everyone.
Yeah.
I don't
you
know how
know,
many people called and said, I remember.
My birthday party every year has 400 people come to it. You know,
more
and
than
I
that.
serve White Castles. 710 last year because I turned 71.
I'd be there if I probably wasn't playing.
You're going to have to try it. It's on
It's
a
a Sunday afternoon, so
Oh,
They
musicians
do it
can
on
go.
Sundays because musicians, but seriously,
Okay.
he started when he was 50 years old. There was 500 White Castles, and every year 10 more. So it was up to 700.
And you know what? Some people come to that thing, not that we're getting off the subject, but they come to that thing just like if he was to do Rocking Horse and I was going to do Eternal Teenager, well, all the old school comes out for that.
Yeah.
And I just did a thing with the Cursed by Lightning, but Chain Lightning guy, and we just did a thing with the Wayward Boys Club, and he brought a bunch of people out, and the owner had fun because these are the people that she used to have at the pain reliever.
That's what
You
they
know, when
want.
she
His
ran the
birthday
pain
party,
reliever.
There's musicians, every walk of life music comes in. It's really, and I always said, we don't need Frank. We just all get together. We have such a good time. But, it's his birthday, but it's really like once a year I get to see all the different people,
Yeah.
And you would walk in there and you'd know
You'd know
50
every-
people
yeah.
in your age group or younger.
Right.
I mean, because I try to stay relevant, I mean,
You're posting all the time. I mean, you guys are awesome. It's great to have you here, and I mean I know you, but just to hang out, it's killer. So thank
do you
you.
remember when you got up and I think it was at Withrow Ballroom, and John Domago was there, and I don't know if you were there, but you got up and we played Shook Me All Night Long, which back then was easy for me to sing, but I mean, and stuff, and then I made you like sing part of a verse, and you're like, girl, I'm gonna die or something. And now that's what you do.
I was at that time I was a thrash
You're a little
singer.
kid then. I mean, you're
Yeah.
a youngster then.
I was young, and I mean I was that I knew it.
Is that where you started growing your beard then, back then?
Yeah, right. No, my wife actually said she liked a bearded guy, and I was like, well, this is how I'm going to keep the wife. So she.
I always thought you were just covering the hickeys on your neck. I don't know. That,
No,
that could be a different story.
No, it's I have to play ZZ Top in Hollywood Boulevard, so I had to,
you're
I'm
right
method.
there.
I'm method.
It's
Good.
So tell me some of the biggest stories from the Wetspots. So you formed the band, you created this great show, this performance. What were some of the biggest shows the Wetspots did in their 12 years?
The barbecue fest in downtown Minneapolis.
Okay.
And I actually did go out into the crowd on stilts.
I remember.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember how big that was?
I saw
And then my wireless mic wouldn't work because of the radio towers. And this is back, when you had the big thing on the back. The guy from Fairchild and I were the first ones to get those wireless mics.
Yeah, and
You
it
know,
was
and they
just
had
an
this
adapter,
big thing on them, and
And I remember we were doing the Wetspots, and Rimshot from the Hollywood said, "That's not a good name." And I remember our booking agent said, I got these county fairs that would hire you, but you can't, the Wetspots, the moist fun you'll ever have. That doesn't fly with county. So we did another set of promo just for the fun spots.
Oh, I didn't do that.
And instead of a sperm
we
cell
were
holding
clean.
a guitar, we went to a balloon holding a guitar. And yeah, we had to rehearse and not swear.
to swear.
It was, but then I remember the first gig. He comes out as a fact, and there's kids. I mean, it really could have been
Like 300 kids
And
at
Frank's
Delray Ballroom.
Frank's like, "Come on, kids!" So he's got this fat suit on, and we're doing our song. And then there's a spot where we do, "Boy, you're gonna carry that weight," and he's tumbling down. He falls on the ground. All these kids jumped on him. He had this big, there was a big bouncy ball. And somebody hit him right in the old bean sack. All of a sudden, I see kids flying out. But
Tell them about
we
the
didn't
conch.
we did. It was tough doing the clean act. I mean,
Yeah.
it was. But
And-
in fact, he
But
didn't
you
even-
know what? We were good at it. Also, I mean, so as you were talking about, you're staged and stuff, but we could stage. So we did the chicken dance instead of the Egyptian thing.
Do you remember the first time you had to do Riding Hood again? You didn't.
Yeah,
you couldn't remember the words.
Like, you couldn't remember the clean version?
Yeah.
No, there's like,
So, how long into it did the Wetspots did you try to do the fun spots?
Quite a ways.
yeah, I was a ways in.
So you
It
were
was-
really ingrained in
Oh.
just being as nasty as you wanted to be.
Everybody wanted to bring their friends out, but we did birthdays. We made we put the helmets and we beat them on the head. We did shots. I mean,
We
And-
drank baby bottle where you put it in your crotch and then you
the
suck on
girls
the
come
baby
out.
bottle and they race.
we'd have two girls come out and do a drinking cut. We need two girls do a drinking contest. Well, we had baby bottles of
being
beer and we put them
stand
here.
back to back.
That
I don't think you could do that now.
No.
And also, there's a couple of boyfriends or husbands standing there. I'm thinking,
We can tell them about the Maplewood Bowl when the guy got mad because I did Little Red Riding Hood to his girlfriend or fiance, and so he's mad, and everybody else is laughing, but he's drunk and he comes back into he had his dressing room always built on one side of the stage. I had mine built on the other. We all had our costumes laid out in order. We had a guy who did that, for us, kind of like Hairball does. I guess.
Yep.
Anyway, so this guy rips the curtain open, comes in there, starts yelling at me. I'm changing clothes. I'm in a thong. And the guy says,
But
I go,
that's-
"Rah, rah, 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 rah," he's yelling at me and stuff. I go, dude, I don't pick the girl. Gary picks the girl, and whoever puts him up to it, that's how we do it. And we do, I didn't pick your wife on purpose and stuff. So finally he wouldn't shut up. Finally I said, what's going to be really funny is some guy in a thong is beating your ass all over the dance floor. and then he kind of, and then he stormed out, and Gary's like looking like, is everything okay? I go, yeah, he's gone now.
So this is during the show
This is during the show.
because you're changing.
First
the-
of all,
And they're playing music.
I'm still
Yeah.
shook up about the thong thing because I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but we did quite. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh, the Riding Hood thing. There was a myth going around that I would go out and pick a girl to be Riding Hood. And somebody was saying that was the girl I was going to go home with that night, or you. I mean, we had all these things. And really what it was if Frank was being a dick to me, I would go out and pick, this is nasty. I'd hear him, I'm going to kill you in the shoe. Behind the
There was a lot said over the mic to him that the audience didn't get.
But there was times, I was like, oh, good one. I could hear him encourage me, get that one over to the left a little bit, Like, did you see the Riding Hood thing?
I was very young, but
Yeah.
yes, I remember all of
They
that
had
stuff.
in the basket.
Yeah.
The sing along. Yeah.
Yep.
We had one girl at the Hopkins Bowl one night, and this thing's rolled around bars now for like 4 or 5 years, right? She goes like this, and Gary's standing there, and I'm, being the wolf, right? And I go, sing along, and she goes, oh, and she puts about 3/4 of it in her mouth, and I look at Gary, and he looks at me, and I just like collapsed, like purposely, like I just collapsed, and the whole audience died laughing.
And I'm thinking,
and she's sitting there going, I don't know,
Man, I should have lost that thing before the gig.
She didn't care. She
didn't, crazy
And
and
there
drunk.
also came a time when in the Wetspots where we were sued a couple times, and that's when we decided to end, because, there's one time we got sued. We were at the North Star Bar in Rochester, right? And we do this thing where he comes out as a doctor and he's got his enema bag,
And I'm
he's
spraying water, yeah.
And so what I do is I fill my mouth with water, and I'm standing there, and he takes the thing and goes like that, and I start spitting water out. So somebody slipped in the enema water on the dance floor and sued us. It was a time
Permanently disabled her leg and all this and stuff. Yeah.
So did you guys lose that suit?
I think we paid $1,000 to make it go away.
Wow.
There was another time where I got sued for $10,000 personally, and Blaine Brook Bull got sued for $50,000 because the guy came up. This guy, we need somebody on stage. It was a setup too, because the guy on the way up pulls his junk out and wags it at us on stage, and it's like, oh, you come up here. So we did a song where they sing, we take the shirt off.
You really got me.
At the end of it, we just looked at each other. We just both dropped the shorts on stage, and he was wearing comfortable,
Yeah.
and boom, he dropped it. Well, he wasn't wearing underwear, so boom, and I'm like, boom. Didn't really plan on that, but he sued us, and
Oh, wow.
his wife wouldn't have sex with him. The guys at work laughed at him, and I'm thinking, well, that sounds like you got a small piece there, buddy.
So
didn't he throw a beer bottle at you and bounce over your head? And then I kicked him in the middle
Well,
of the
he threw a
back,
beer
and he
bottle at me and
flew
hit
off
me.
the stage
So
onto his
you're
hand.
assaulted.
But at that point, I'm like, okay, I deserve that. I goofed on him, he goofed on me, so. But then.
But I was mad, so I kicked him in the middle of the back, and he went off the stage and landed with his shorts down, like on his hands and knees on the floor.
Oh my God.
And then he was going to beat up Gary afterwards, and then I came over and go, ain't going to happen, dude.
I feel like suing us right now.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Well,
So how did that one end then?
Well, that one ended.
they wouldn't let me go to court.
And you should have heard the lawyer laugh when I went to him and told him this, but I think we settled that for. I don't know what happened with Blaine Brook. I think we got out of it for just a couple $1,000, and just it was going to cost so much in court fees or whatever. But it was getting to the point where people knew what we did, and they came out, and we
were trying to. We had that fat suit
picked
that I
on
wore.
Girls, and we picked
That big fat suit I wore? I wore that one time at Maplewood Bowl, and then, I was going, fat man. Well, I'm making fun of myself, not anybody personally in the audience, right?
Yeah.
Well, they went to the desk and complained, and I'm sorry, but these were like 3 or 4 really big women, and I went to them and said, look, I'm just making fun of myself. I'm not picking on anybody personally or nothing. It's just
and
the
they were
words.
some of our biggest fans, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. We're charged by the pound.
So that's
anyway.
the thing. So the Wetspots didn't break up because of musical differences or
we
didn't
put it-
like each
No,
other.
Remember, we made a disclaimer. for
We
the
went on
doors.
we went on vacation after we broke up together, like to Cancun or something.
But I remember we made disclaimers saying it's an X-rated show. Don't come in here if you don't,
Yeah.
And we put it at the door. You know what that did? That made people want to come in.
Right.
That was more like if you saw that at the door, wouldn't you? I'd be running right in there.
It's like it's exactly what you want to watch if that's what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Wetspots goes for 12 years. Ends because of politically correctness rearing its head in America.
We'd gone 12 years too, so that's a long time.
And I sobered it up at the end of it.
Did you guys always like new songs, new skits?
Yeah, we tried.
Tried to.
Because what I've always found for me, like the time that you're in a band, if you're not growing, you're dying. You know, if you're playing the same 20 songs or the same 30 songs in the same 15 or 20 venues.
Yep.
Go see any band in the Twin Cities right now.
But even if the money keeps going up, the soul seems to die because you're not doing new music, you're not playing new places.
Boredom's really bad for bands.
Plus tribute bands. To me, that's why I play original.
Well, I was one of the first tributes back in the day with, TNT, and I did a Metallica tribute called Trapped Under Ice back in 99.
They're still going, aren't they?
TNT isn't. There's like 2 or 3 other ones.
Okay, yeah.
There's Old Voltage is a really big one. There was one called Big Balls. Those were local. There's a TNT that's from Texas, I think, or something like that. They're still around. But yeah, I mean, for me it was we were doing Avalanche's first real recording, and we needed a few $1,000s. Well, Avalanche was going to make that money at gigs, but Trapped Under Ice doing a Metallica tribute sure was. So that's when we did that. But so after the Wetspots, you guys go to Cancun. Did you do another band together after that, or what did you do?
We had we put a little band called Frank and Beans together.
Well, that was years later.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that was with Lane that was playing with me in the Wayward Boys Club, and Gary, and then my guitar player from Eternal Teenagers, Tim Ward.
Oh wow.
And basically we put the band together to warm up Bruce, because he put a Hurricane Alice together in the cities.
Yeah.
With not the guys from the album or anything. And so we were doing this thing together more as, what would you call it? More like, because it was just a bunch of guys. It'd be like we would just put a band together because we wanted to hang around with each other.
Night.
Yeah, kind of, and stuff. But you know what? Frank and Beans turned out really good.
Yeah,
we did everything from
we
you.
just did it as a warm-up thing, but it was actually.
Well, then we played at the place in Forest Lake with Cole Allen, right?
Right. We did a few shows there.
Yeah.
And when was that? Like, what year was that, you think?
4 years ago?
A little longer than that?
I don't know. Well, the world passes me by, but...
So Frank and Beans was out, and then that just lasted for a few shows? Or is that still something you guys do here and there?
I would.
Because I know you still do the Wayward Boys Club, and that's like
I do that
and
maybe every once,
to be
2
honest,
months or something. I go and do a show, or I do the veterans thing every year religiously. Chili Feet I like to do, stuff like I'd like to do like 10 really cool relevant shows a year and do originals.
Yeah.
But we are going to learn some covers just to fit it in there, or say Gary said, Frank, I want to do a Rocking Horse reunion. And I'm like, okay, I want to be the warm-up band because here comes all the chummy guys together again as buddies.
And then speaking of that, I remember Frank came up with the idea. He goes, all our friends are getting old. We should have a warm-out band. And I'm like, are
cool
you
down,
nuts?
yeah.
But But the last time Rocking Horse and Dare Force did a show together, we were fighting over who played first. And I remember with Dare Force and Rocking Horse, we were, they were a headliner a lot, but I fought to be the headliner. I mean, I fought hard to be the headliner. That was the thing back then. And now it's a different story.
Yeah.
Back in Dibbo's days, we used to he did a couple weekends a year, and so it would be like 2 of his bands. So if I was in White Ash or the Allies or whatever it was.
Slinky.
There's like 80 of them, but we would play with Kane, or we would play with Fairchild for the whole weekend and stuff. And our bands back then would fight to go first because we wanted to party with the audience when there was like 600 people in it. We wanted to get our part over with so we could Yahoo and stuff. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, I kind of started the cool down thing with the Wayward Boys Club, maybe. Probably with the Wayward Boys Club.
You were talking towards the end of us, and I thought you were nuts. I mean, yeah.
And I, when I booked all the stuff at Newman's and worked there for 30 years or something, I started doing the 8 o'clock to midnight thing, and I was actually going to move it to like 7:30 to 11:30, and stuff, because you know what? Maybe you said this to me a long time. Nothing really good happens after midnight.
No.
You know?
And me even now, like when I book Fool Fighters, we're only going to play an hour and a half. I
Right,
always
90
book
minutes.
it.
Yeah.
I'll book the show, and then I'll find a closer, because everyone who wants to come and see us.
You didn't play in that band, did you?
Yeah.
Full Fighters?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was out there last time.
Yeah. So, and for that one, I think we did 3 bands. The very last one we did. And we just played in the middle. And they're like, well,
Middle's best.
It's your show. Why aren't you closing? I'm like, it's my show. I'll play in the middle. It just works better for us. Yeah. Especially with the, show starting at 8 o'clock.
Well, and then the other thing with
10:30
with Wayward Boys Club, not that we're here for that reason, but Wayward Boys Club is we do all originals, and it's sort of more of a concert-y, with a smart-ass front guy, situation, yeah. And then we would get a band that would play dance tunes and things that was more after they have some drinks in them.
Yeah.
The girls don't want to hear some song that Frank and Jimmy wrote 10 years ago. They want to, hear play that funky music, White Boy or something, and stuff. So that worked too.
So Gary, what are you doing now? Are you playing anything now, or
I pick my bass up at home, my guitar a little bit, but I haven't not doing anything right now. I had some little health issues and kind of working on that, but
yeah. So do you go out and see bands?
I don't. I'm not a late night person anymore. It really is
I
hard.
am.
I get up early, but last couple times when I was seeing Frank, it's hard because Arena's playing this weekend too.
Aren't you gonna go Saturday?
No,
I'll go get you. I'll get you guys.
Let's not talk about this on film right
I'll
now.
edit this out.
Right.
No, I'll edit that part out. And that's the thing too. It's like, and I understand. I'm younger than both you guys, but I'll tell you right now, I play so much that if I'm not playing on Saturday, I would much rather sit on my couch and just not do anything.
The bad thing about that though, so I might get in trouble and you might want to take this out. But the tribute bands that are, friends of mine and they're, somewhere between you and me, those guys always want you to come and see them. But they never come out to see you. And so, what my attitude is? Fuck you. And I'm not going to go pay $20 to go see you because you don't ever return the favor. Now, Gary brings a whole group out to see Wayward Boys Club play and stuff. And Cursed by Lightning played that night too. And the guitar players are just unbelievable. And he's like, we're sitting there watching going, God dang, watching them and digging it. But I kept them up till midnight.
And that's, I think we should start winding down the conversation, but this is what I want to say about that. And I think it's a huge point. And I think I want to leave it in if it's okay.
I come and see you.
But that's the thing too, is like you guys and me still a little bit, but I'm feeling like it's completely different with the younger generation. When we were younger, we'd hang out all week with our band. We were friends.
Yeah.
Now it's like a band is like a business. It's like, I'll see you on Friday for the gig. We'll chat for a half hour before we play. Show's over. We'll see you next week.
Too.
And it's a different world. So like what you're saying, when Gary comes out and he brings 10 people out, it's because he's coming to see his friend.
Yeah. Right.
He's coming to hang out with his friend. When you go out and see these tribute bands, you're not going out to see them play. You're going out to see your friends.
My friends, yeah. Totally.
And that's not how some of these bands are nowadays. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to have these conversations, because I miss the camaraderie that we all have.
And some of them say, I'm too old to go out. Well, sorry. You know how many talk about medical issues over the last 10 years.
Even the road crews. We hung out with our road crew and our bands. We did things together, and that was big.
So me and Donnie, Rimshot, a couple guys in my band, Rockin Hollywoods would be playing at Muldoon's, and Gary would have the new guitar player and the wireless system stay on the table. Tuesday night, we had off. We all went to see Gary.
No matter what the bands, from the Hollywoods to the metal bands.
We'd all go out and say, hey, and go, God dang, you guys sound great,
one thing too about the Wetspots, I wanted to say that we had a lot of good music. I mean, from
Great
John
music.
Lindquist, we had Chris Fox, the drummer. John Lindquist, he's in Jiggs's Invasion band now.
Chris Leahy.
Johnny
Killer.
Holiday with Hype was there. Bull Folder with
Pumpkin.
Jack.
Pumpkin that plays with
Was it the Dweebs now?
the Dweebs now
Yeah.
and does great.
Chris
You know.
Leahy, yeah.
Chris Vox, he goes, when I go and see Hairball, he looks at me and smiles. He goes, I learned it off of you. You know, like, I go, don't get mad at me because you got to put on all this makeup.
That's awesome, guys. Well, I just want to thank you again for coming.
That was
And
awesome. Hopefully we covered what we were trying to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And I think
it
it's
was
great what
beautiful.
you're doing too. I mean, it's just really fun. I've only listened to a little bit of your podcast, but
You got to show me how to do that because I could steer this to 3,000 people.
yeah, you're about to get.
Like, you're about to get barraged.
I'll share it with you, and then you share it as much as you want.